everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at 6 different games here. Some of them fine, and at least one of them absolutely terribly dreadful. So here we go. Secret Santa, you know, the thing you play every Christmas where you give gifts to people that they really don't want and you're trying to figure it out. That's what this game is trying to emulate. It's actually, I think, the 5th game called Secret Santa. Here's how it plays. In this game, players are going to be dealt cards from a deck, and you can see the cards of the deck have different color backgrounds. But there is 3 of each color, and you're not allowed to start with all 3 of a color. So you could have 2 of a color, and you know 2 of them. And there's just to be different mixtures of things on them. They're going to be worth points at the end of the game. The tea mugs, for example, this one here, if you have 1, it's -2, but if you have 6 of them, it's 14 points. This one here will double the value of your tea bags. This thing here is just a whopping 2 points. And so there's going to be all sorts of cards that give you points. There's the tea bags, which are worth only 1 point, but can be doubled by the teapot card, which is a pink card, and more generic points and things like that. So everyone's going to get dealt 5 cards. Some cards are going to be out in the middle of the table, some face down, some face up. This is the considered to be the unexpected guest. And on your turn, you're just going to take a card from someone else's hand or from one of the face down cards that's in the middle of the table, and you'll look at it, and then you put it face down in front of you. And then the person you took the card from, they go next. If you take one of the cards there, the next person clockwise goes. This keeps going until someone's out of cards, or everyone's out of cards. I mean, if you're out of cards, you still play because you're just drawing cards from other people's hands. You then turn all your cards face up in front of you. You score points for them. If someone has 25 points, the game's over. Otherwise, you start another round. The theming here doesn't really make any sense. You're taking gifts from other people. How's that Secret Santa? I don't get that. But taking that out, this game's just boring. You're literally just grabbing cards and putting them face up. Yes, there's 3 cards of each, so I can be like, there's the 3rd blue card. It's a teacup. That's what I'm trying to get. Has like Cuphead style artwork, but there's just nothing here. This is like a game you get for free with other games. 5 out of 10. Flash 10 is a game from Wolfgang Kramer, one of the most well-renowned designers in the world. It is a speed game where you're trying to do basically Racco as fast as you can. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to have a row of 10 cards randomly placed in front of them, and the rest of the cards are shuffled and put on the table. Then, when we say go, everyone's going to turn their cards face up. Now, the goal of the game is to have your cards going from smallest to largest, and you can see here, I have not played my cards particularly well, or at least had an initial good deal. Starting with 73, I got a 77 before 76. This is not great. So simultaneously, everyone's going to be drawing a card from the middle of the table, and you are going to be placing it on top of one of your cards. So, I don't know, maybe I'll put this 60 here. And then I draw another card, 83. I'll put that one there. And I draw this one, a lightning bolt. Well, that's worth -1 point at the end of the game, but at least breaks up a number streak. 26 goes on top of that. 18. Maybe I should have put the 26 there. Then I could have put the 18 there. But now I'll put the 18 there on top of that one. And another lightning bolt. I'll put that on top of that. 58. Now we're looking better. 99. Well, that goes there. That's easy. 23. I'll put that here. 92. I'll put that there. So we're getting close. 0. I'll put that at the beginning. That's pretty easy. 27. I can put here. Now I have almost all the cards in order except the 77 and 76 pain in the neck. I'll cover up that 77. 29 I'll place there. 16 will go here. 36. I think I got it here. 0, 16, 27, 29, 36, 60, 76, 92, 99. Done. So I win. Now, if the cards run out, or we just are scoring. So I'm going to get 10 points for finishing, -1 for this, and then each lightning bolt, which I think are the multiples of 5, is worth an additional point. And there you go. We score points. You can play multiple rounds and keep going until someone gets to 50 points, and that person is the winner. Again, this is a game that there just doesn't seem to be anything there. You're just flipping cards over as fast as you can and putting them on top, and what I just did in the overview, but you're doing that as fast as you can. Everyone else is grabbing cards. Someone finishes. You go, okay. I mean, there are games that do this well. 10 Days in the USA, 10 Days in Africa. Those are games that do it well. This is a little card game, but there's nothing there. You flip, even if you like speed games, I think there's a lot of other ones I would pick over this one. I give Flash 10 a 5 out of 10. Urbify is a game where you're building a city. Now, this is not particularly a unique theme for a game, but it definitely is a popular one because people like to build cities. But this one does so in a different way because this city is being built by politicians. Yeah, they're actually working in this game too. In this game, players are trying to get prestige points, and you're going to be doing that by using your little politicians here. So on your turn, you have options, and the options that you have depend on whether you have people here on your board or not. So if you have people on your board, you have two things. One, you can send people out to vote on different issues. You can send 2 to one area, or you can send 3 to different areas. The other option you can do if you have politicians on your board is you can decide to build one of the buildings here. You have resources in the different 4 colors, and then you also have these gears, which will be used for bigger buildings later on in the game. And you can spend them as long as you have the number of politicians to put on them. So if I had 2, I could build this. I would just pay 1, 1, and 1. I take this building, I add it to an adjacent tile that's in the city. We're all building this city together, which can grow to a 6x6, and I put my 2 politicians on them. Now, if you don't have politicians here in front of you, you can resolve an issue on the board. So let's say there's an issue here. I had some people. I pull them off. Each person there who has people, so let's say there's 2 blues, 2 purples, and an orange there. I'm the one who pulled them off. Blue is going to get 2 green resources. I'm going to get 2 plus an extra 1 since I'm the one who just started it. And orange, because they only have 1, gets nothing, but they'll get 2 points at the top of the board. And if you have 4 people, which is the maximum you can have in an area, you'll also get an additional point for doing that. And then these people come back here. Another thing you can do if you have nobody on your board is you can pull one of the politicians off one of the tiles that you have in the city, and then you'll get the benefit of that tile. So for example, this one here says I can spend 2 resources to get 3 of the gray resource. And there's going to be all sorts of things that you can do. Sometimes you'll even remove them from the game, but there are tiles that will give you more of them back. Like this one here, I can get an extra politician to use. And this is going to keep going. Once you're done with the stack 1 tiles, you're going to stack 2. And when the city is built, whoever has the highest score is going to win. There's a few extra things for having the highest influence in different areas. Each of these influence areas at the end of the game, whoever has the most will win. And the book tells you how all these different buildings work. And that's how you play. There is a lot I love about this game. It's such an interesting... You have 2 actions if you have workers. You have 2 actions if you don't have workers. And so you'll put some workers out, and you're like, okay, my next turn, I'm going to do something. And then someone else will finish something off. Maybe you have a worker come back, or you're going to put out these different buildings. Do I do the buildings that give me more workers, more politicians, or I do the ones that give me points? And it feels tight, but never overly tight. It's this nice, and I'm a big fan of city building games where there's a single city between everybody, so you're all working in the same city. So some buildings are going to be worth more points depending on where you put them. So there's a lot of cool little things. The name, Urbify and everything, I'm not sure it comes through, and it is going to be a little trickier to teach people than some games, but I do enjoy this one a lot, Urbify. Color Field is a game about, well, colors. And just to be clear, that is what this game is about. It's color, color, color. So let's take a look at it. It has some nice production of color. In this game, at the beginning of each round, you're going to get some foundation tiles, which you are placing out here, and you can see they have little carrots on them to show the direction that you will place them to start with. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get things to match the surrounding colors. And so you might randomly have some match, but it's probably not going to be super matching. And each person's going to start with a different board with different things around it. Each round of the game, you'll have tiles that match that round. There'll be 3 available here, and it's pretty simple. On your turn, you take one of these tiles, and you simply are going to replace a tile, or you can throw away the one you just took. And when you put the tile down, the new tile, you can rotate it any direction you want, however, it has to stay there. And we keep doing that until everyone has had 5 turns in round 1, and then we score. You'll score by each side that matches. So blue matching blue, 1, yellow 1, no. Yeah, so this tile is getting 3 points. And you go through each of your tiles. Some tiles have numbers on them. If you happen to match that side, you'll get those bonus points there. Also, you'll score for your biggest area as long as it's 3 or more. So this yellow area, which is 1, 2, 3, would score me 3 points. But only your single largest color area does that. As the game goes by, you have these inspiration tokens, and you can spend these inspiration tokens to rotate a tile or swap with another tile. But you only have 3 to use over the whole game. Tiles are going to change. You'll see there's more point tokens as you go farther down through the course of the game. This is from the stack 3. After round 3, whoever has the most points is the winner. You can also play a quote-unquote advanced mode where there will be some cards that will be in play that just change the rules of the game. The game looks pretty, and I get the whole idea of the color palette and, putting out these tiles, and it sounds interesting, and I kept waiting for it to get interesting, and it never did. This game has some similarities to like Racco in a sense that if your 6 tiles come out and they just work out really well, and they can, you have a big leg up on the people who don't. And you're matching the color tiles, and you're trying to make one big color area and trying to get some of those tiles that have plus points. That's it. It's like a very, very light game. But even for people who like light games, I think this one's just going to be too light. There's just like the whole game, like, where is the game? You just put stuff out, move stuff around. And I played the advanced game with the special rules, which should just be in the game. But those are like, hey, this time yellow scores extra points. This time everyone gets 5 tokens now instead of 3. I just didn't feel like this one really had anything to talk about. I'm struggling to talk about strategies or anything. There's not that or not really fun. It's just kind of there. So that's just a 5 out of 10 for me. Color field. Unition, which incidentally is a very weird name for a game, like munition. And in this game, you can get Meganition. But this is a deck building game where you have your own deck of cards and building up a deck and trying to get these different little alien dweebs or whatever into your army. They're from Disarray and they're fighting some clan warfare. Okay, everybody's going to start with a starting deck of various cards, and you'll be shuffling those. And on your turn, you'll be playing 5 cards. In the middle of the table, you'll have 5 cards here that you can get, although extra cards can show up depending on different card effects. And also extra gleam. Gleam is the resource of this game. When you play cards, they'll give you gleam, which you can use to buy cards. Each of the card has a cost in the top corner. I buy this card, I put it in my discard pile. When my deck runs out, I'll shuffle my discard pile, so in the future I can play this blob, which gives me 2 gleam. And also, if I played another blob card, lets me draw a card and then discard a card. And so they're all going to be different things, the different colors matter. You'll notice this card is sideways here, because this one, when I play it, will stay face up in front of me. And this will give me 2 shields on my turn. Now, shields are important because there's a lot of cards with attack. You'll attack your opponents. Each of you is going to start with a certain amount of life, and that's going to be dependent on how many players are in the game. Every time you attack an opponent for the swords, they'll lose that much life. If you lose life, you're out of the game. If you eliminate everyone, you win. Other cards give you cool points, and if you get a certain number of cool points, you win the game. So those are the 2 ways to win. Shields will give you shield tokens, and they will block points that you get, trash points that you get when someone else attacks you, but they do go away at the beginning of your next turn. There's also cards in the deck that are leaders. These leaders, when they come out, will just stay here. They're just really powerful, cool characters that match one of the 5 colors. And each player is kind of attuned to one of the colors. So you'll have this board, so you'll be able to play their cards a little easier. And everyone's starting deck has the Rainbow in it, which lets you, he gives you Unition, which is kind of a combination which lets you use the bottom parts of your cards. He gives that for all cards of one class's turn. And there's also supposedly Mega Unition, and I've never seen it happen, where you draw 1 card of every class. So if you pull that off, well, good on you. And then you get some bonuses for doing that. Those bonuses being, get another whole extra turn. But like I said, I've never seen that happen. So these strongholds also have a rule where you can only have so many cards in play on a turn, 10. But each of these counts against that when you play them. But other than that, you're just playing cards. You play your 5 cards, you discard them, you draw 5 cards. You keep going. You're trying to get enough of the cool points or take out all your opponents to win. Now, there's the biggest problem with Unition, besides the weird name, is the fact that people are going to look at this and play and go, it's kind of like Star Realms. And it really is like Star Realms in many ways, to the point where does this one need to exist in the same universe as Star Realms? Now, I like this game. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And in a vacuum, I might go higher, but because Star Realms exists in a smaller box, what does Unition have? It has those leaders, which are neat to get one of those big 8-point leaders. I think it's weird that they come out of the deck. Why don't they just all start on the table? Because if I'm trying to go for a certain color, mine comes up faster than yours does, and I get the 8 to buy it, I have a huge leg up on you. It has a couple really wonky rules. I already mentioned the Mega Unition, which you should never in a game like this be building all 5 colors and then trying to draw all 5. You're going to get much better benefit if you pick one color and stick with that. So that's one thing about the game. Another thing with the game is that there's this weird rule about 10 cards. It's just this insanely complicated rule that's not complex. Essentially, you have 5 cards in your hand. So you can play up to 10 cards in your turn if you draw more cards, things. But each of these fortresses you have in front of you, or whatever they're called, strongholds that you put in front of you, counts against it. So if I have 1 stronghold, I can only play 9 more cards. If I have 2, 8. If I have 6 strongholds, I can't even draw 5 cards. I draw down to 4. This whole thing is complex. And also, how often are people getting this many strongholds? It just seems crazy. When you attack someone, you can attack their stronghold and get rid of it, depriving of the benefits, which again, very much like Star Realms. Despite all that, it's very fun. It's very interesting. It's back and forth. It's quick. Yes, it has player elimination, but it's the kind of game that is probably best played with 2 anyway, so player elimination doesn't matter. I like it. I'm just not sure it's necessary. That's Unition. Penny Dreadful of Victorian London, Sensational Tales of Terror, is from the same designers of Letters from Whitechapel, based on the Mr. Jack murders. And so this is another game from them. And their other games that they have made have all been deduction games. This is a story-driven game. This game is so bad that I am mind blown that it got published. It is one of the worst games I have ever played. Let me show you just a bit. In this game, you're going to have this map in front of you, which as you move around the map, sometimes it will tell you to put out different locations. These locations don't matter one bit over the course of this game, except you're supposed to put it in your mind that this is the spots that you're going around to. You're going to be going through an entire deck of cards. So this is the Horrible Secret of the Bloody Key, or the Bloody Knights of the Beast. And there's a bunch of cards in here, all numbered. And I'm going to try not to spoil them for you, although, frankly, don't play the games, so you should never be spoiled. Anyway, I'll show you some from the tutorial here. And you'll start by just reading a card. You read a card, the tutorial teaches you how to play. You don't actually need the rule book. It tells you that you are the star, you move around. It will occasionally give you items, so it will say maybe, hey, you found a knife. A knife is the hexagonal red alpha, and you have to keep all these in front of you, different items you get. And sometimes when you get to a spot, it will say, if you have the alpha or the hexagonal beta red token, then this happens. And I'm like, what does that mean? I don't remember. You'll be placing cards at different spots around the board just to keep track of them. And occasionally, a card will give you a decision. So, for example, here's flashes in the dark, blah, blah, blah. We can try to, go help put out a fire or go help a woman. And everyone's going to vote by putting a black cube in their left hand or right hand. You'll be using these to whichever one gets more votes. That's what you decide to do, and you'll follow that path. And at the end of the game, whoever has spent the most black cubes wins by themselves. So that's kind of what happens. There's a lot more, but this game is just absolutely dreadful, so I'm not going to spend any more time on it. I don't know that I have enough time to go over all the negative parts of this game, folks. From the fact that there's a board in the middle of the table, and you move your piece around that board and show different things, and none of it matters. It will say, put your piece over here, move your piece over here. None of that matters. You make so many guesses in this game. You're like, should you do this or that? I don't know. So it's like a choose-your-own-adventure game, which kind of is fun. I mean, I like choose-your-own-adventure a lot, but choose-your-own-adventures are adventurous and silly fun. This game is dark and brooding, and in what I think would turn a lot of people off, describes violence in a very graphic manner, especially violence against women. That point alone, I wouldn't play the game based on it. Then those tokens. There's so many tokens in this game. But they're like 5 different colors, 5 different shapes, alpha, beta, zeta, gamma, whatever. What? Why can't you just make a little token with a knife on it? And later on, I'm like, oh, we had this token. I mean, you go to the store and they're like a store and be like, buy some tokens. Okay, we'll take these 3. We don't know which ones we need. And you just wildly roam around, wildly random. The voting system is weird because it rewards you for going with the majority. And then there's a single winner. Folks, what happened here? This is a mess of the nth degree. It's ugly. The stories are very flowery written, but again, super dark and very random. It's not fun at all. I cannot recommend this at all. A 1 out of 10. It's just dreadful. Well, it was in the title, so I guess there's that. Well, there you go, folks. 6 different games. My favorite of the bunch would be Urbify, and yeah, you know what my least favorite is. Tell me what you think about these games in the comments. If you'd like to see single reviews of short games that are taken from these on another channel, check out Dice Tower Encore. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower.